back the people they have contacted or been with. So it's important to avoid any form of contact with people you do not know their whereabouts. Now, anyways, for us who will not tire to remind you every day that your life is quite precious, guide yourself well. But nevertheless, we are also here to do our normal drills of Good Morning Uganda with Robert this morning. Robert, good morning.
Good morning to you, Felix. Good morning, Uganda. Good morning, everybody who has woken up on UBC TV. We pledge to ensure that you're well versed with what is happening both locally and internationally, but also to spice up your morning. It is a cold, chilly morning here in Uganda, and of course for us in Africa, when it rains, it is a sign of blessings. When it doesn't rain in Africa, traditional Africa, people would be scared, and even they would kill some animals to appease the gods, so that they get rainfall. So it is a blessing, and we believe no matter what you do, just have a positive mindset, you conquer the affairs of the day. But also just remind you that if you do not qualify to build a road, not an essential worker, not have approval from the Ministry of Works, please do not hit the road. Remember, the number of roadblocks now checking for stickers, and also the switchway instrument by the Ministry of Health that renders you, if convicted, to pay, and not only fines but also 2 months imprisonment awaits you. So, later on, be prepared.
Well, of course, that's something also important to pick up from these times of COVID is something to do with how we feed ourselves. Now, nutrition is one of those things that will help us fight COVID-19 or even resist from actually getting this virus. Now, people who are nutritionists have also come out to tell us that, one, let us take lots of water. Our body works on water. It operates on water. If you've noticed, every time you take someone to hospital, the first thing they do if they are in a very bad condition, in Uganda we say so that literally means that they put some form of water with maybe a bit of glucose and what to show you that once the body has water, it can actually be resistant and it can fight, and probably you have your cells and all these things up in here. Secondly, endeavor to eat the traditional meals of a day. Endeavor to eat the traditional meals of a day. Make sure you eat something. We know times are not easy, but you must feed. Now, your body works on what you feed it. Have food to eat in as much as it's hard. Whichever kind of food is available, please have something to eat. Thirdly, if you're able to afford fruits and natural foods like grains, for example, that are not fried, and fruits, please have these things. They help boost your immunity. Now, one of these days we will bring you a nutritionist to help you on what you should eat at home, what not to eat, what to avoid in times of COVID. But on top of all these things, we're also here to give you current affairs in terms of what's happening in Uganda and outside, or internationally if you want to call it. And of course, later on we'll also be having our newsreel. But then later we'll be having our weather update, traffic updates, but also our GMU agenda, where we'll be discussing something that does touch national importance. So do not touch your dial. If it is, do not move away from your TV. Stay tuned to UBC. Now, we'll first of all take you through our stories for local stories.
And we'll begin with actually the statutory instrument that now makes it criminal, and once you're arrested violating the COVID-19 standard operating procedures, you can be imprisoned for a period of 2 months. That is the newly released statutory instrument from the Ministry of Health, makes it an offense for a person who leaves his or her residence without a face mask, and the culprit is liable to a 2-month imprisonment. This intended to guide police while enforcing COVID-19 control measures. In last week's police operations, 1,425 people were arrested. Impounded were 786 vehicles plus 4,319 motorcycles. These are said to have faulted anti-corona rules and were charged. However, some were released after paying police express penalty tickets. In Kamoja sub-region, intersecurity agencies launched an operation due to the increasing incarcerations where 12 people were killed, 18 arrested, 7 guns recovered, and 290 cows rescued. And these emanates from escalating cattle rustling in the region.
In another development, the Department of Criminal Intelligence registered 73 cases in a week, which claimed 56 lives and 12 deaths were due to mob justice. These wrangles are majorly roots from land disputes, domestic violence, among others. Still on the impact of COVID, we've moved to Uganda prisons and see how this has affected them, where 1,301 recoveries have been registered and 2 deaths so far. Frank Baine, who is the prison spokesperson, told the media yesterday that they lost 2 inmates to COVID-19 and they have registered over 1,000 recoveries of inmates due to COVID-19. The Uganda Prison Services now accounts to 1,438 cases of the national COVID-19 statistics, according to the prison spokesperson. Away from COVID-19, we now look at the rehabilitation program or process going on the 67-year-old Kazinga Channel Bridge that developed cracks, which has started in Kasese, but is slowing down business, hence igniting controversies among the business class. Through UNRA, and which has ensured that they provide ferries to ease the crossing of people and goods on either sides of Kasese and Ubirizi district, has not stopped fastening the traffic due to small size of the ferry and its carriage capacity. Now UNRA has swung into action and has stopped the road users from using the bridge, but it has also provided a ferry as an interim solution to ease the movement of people and goods. Here, drivers of lighter vehicles and passengers that are allowed to use the ferry to Kazinga Channel to cross to Kasese district have asked government to provide a second ferry to enable quick access to their side, to the other side of the water channel. This follows a temporary closure of the 67-year-old bridge that developed serious cracks in the 2019 and has since been identified as a death trap to the people there. Meanwhile, local communities are asking the health ministry to step up COVID-19 SOPs since there is congestion at the docking site. Still giving you more regarding local stories, the Deputy RDC Kasese, Joshua Maseruka, has warned all people involving in illegal mining activities to exit mining sites, including those guarding the sites in the district. The warning comes shortly after an illegal gold mine quarry developed cracks and collapsed on a young man who died instantly. Joel Mubusa Mukiguri, a resident of Kakomuhola village in Kisanga sub-county, together with 5 other teenagers, had been working at the site. This gold mine site has been in existence for the last 4 years until Friday last week, when the rubble collapsed and one of the people working here lost their lives. The Deputy RDC, Joshua Maseruka, said as security, they will not tolerate anyone involved in illegal mining activities with a mining license from the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. They still have to approve this depending on the assessment that they carry out of the area. With the Resident District Commissioner saying that this cannot be tolerated because people may not only rely on licenses, but they must look at the safety of the people working in these mines. Now we head to court, where lawyers representing suspects in the attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala have filed a case in the High Court demanding for their clients to appear before courts of law. As more we get from our reporter, the lawyers are saying that the arrested assailants, Godfrey Tulia Musima, since they were arrested with others, have never been paraded before court. During the press conference last week, police, through the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Paul Okech, confirmed the arrest of 5 suspects following the attempted murder of General Katumba Wamala, the killing of his daughter Brenda Nantongo, and the driver Haruna Kayondo. Since their arrest and detention in police custody, the accused have not been arraigned before court for plea, taking, or trial. following the expiry of 48 hours in police custody as indicated in the Constitution. The legal team representing the suspects in the attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala have filed a case to ensure they are produced with immediate effect. This case has been filed against the Attorney General, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Commander Special Investigations Electorate, and the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence. Well, those are some of the stories that we were able to get you on our local scene. I now hand over to Felix to take us through what is trending on the international scene.
Well, of course, Robert, springing from what you just did give us, we will cross over to Mainima, where we'll be looking at military troops come out to adopt 4 cuts to stamp out coup opponent. Now, the tactic targets civilians in bid to stifle support for the resistance fighter, but appears to be backfiring. Now, on May 24th in Mainima, Kachin State, 13-year-old Adwan King walked over his auntie's house about noontime and fed her chicken. Now, 30 minutes later, heavy artillery crashed through the chicken's coop, but also to see and cause death for her auntie. Now, our family has never been involved in politics. We are just trying to survive, Adwin came out to say. And of course, also, that has been happening to many other people. Now, more than at least 1,000 people, according to UN statistics, have been living in abstract attacks of this particular coup up till to date. The clashes in Monok mark the border escalation in fighting across the country since February 1st. Now, military coups have also descended along to make conflict in areas far from the major city, that is Tait Madwa. Now, the ethnicity has also come out to play a major role into these fights in Mainima, where we see in response to the increased armed resistance, at least people of different tribes have also caused indiscriminate support of over at least 230 people being displaced, and also blocking them from accessing transport, relief, and any other life-saving materials. Now, looking at Afghanistan forces who plan to counter-attack against the Taliban in the northern region. Now, the counter-offensive planned after forces lose ground in the northern province, Russia's agency came out to say. Now, Afghanistan government forces are planning a counter-offensive in the country's northern province after losing ground to the Taliban, and the Russia news agency also cited that the advice of the Taliban president Ashraf Ghani is also quite instrumental in this fight. The National Security Advisor Abdullah Mohib also told the news that he told the news on Monday that the government forces had not expected that the Taliban offensive would be absolute in its major targets, but nevertheless the Taliban also came out to make mention that they are not about to put their guns down in terms of what they believe in and what they are fighting for. Now, back to Africa, where we're looking at gunmen in Nigeria have kidnapped at least 140 school children in the northwest part of that country, police came out to say. Now, at least 8 people were also abducted from the National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Center in Zaria early on Sunday morning. 2 nurses and 12-month-old children were among those seized, and said the hospital worker. Now, there has been a recent spate of abductions from schools and universities for ransoms, but on Monday, reports also emerged that other mass kidnappings from schools near Kaduna City, about 80 kilometers southwest of Zaria. The mother of at least 15-year-old who was kidnapped from Bethel Baptist School told BBC that 140 school children had been seized by a large group of armed men who arrived on motorbikes and broke down the fence. Now, in a statement, police said gunmen overpowered the school security guards and made their way into the student hostel, where they abducted an unspecified number of students into the forest. Now, at least a total of 26 people, including female teachers, had also been rescued also in this same struggle. Well, that's what's happening on international scene. Quite some stories are very much touching. You're looking at these abductions, which have been there since 2013. I remember the first major international outcry was that one where they abducted the girls. They had a campaign called Bring Back Our Girls. That's about 2013. Most recent, there's been also, this has been quite patterned. We've been seeing lots of events of these abductions, and we've also been seeing attacks and also killings. Of course, also something to pick interest in, that the Asian plane death toll, at least by press time yesterday evening, had risen. Over 50 people had died in that air crash. Something also quite important to note. So, a couple of stories that are quite eye-catching international scene, Robert, but some of them that are very much painful is the story of the kids. And this is what we always say when we applaud our government and, of course, but majorly God for the protection we have in this country, that some scenarios haven't been seen in this country for quite a time.
For me, one thing that comes to my mind, Felix, is I remember during the health summit when His Excellency said, Africa, we cannot sit and wait for the Western world to come and provide a solution. That was in the field of health. But now it takes me to the field of, when we talk about Nigeria, just like you said, these abductions have seemingly become the order of the day. And I think it's time that Africa will wake up. Yes, we have the African Union. We've seen our troops do some tremendous work in, that is Somalia. But I think we need to come together more. We have a standby force, a force that is ready to attack in any area, and we can see how best we fight some of these challenges, because not all Africa is at war. For example, Uganda, we have had peace for the last maybe 1+ decade, and we've been able to build. That is a force that has served in other countries. So if we can have the African Union now look at what is one of the greatest challenges and identify countries and say, as a body that brings us together, now where is the challenge? Yes, we have Somalia, we have Nigeria. We look at some of these pockets and ensure that Africa is safe. Because what happens when the Boko Haram are enjoying their times in Nigeria, then who knows, one time we shall have such a formidable force that will stretch its wings to Uganda, and we see these terrorist activities also reaching out to us. So for me, that is my plea, that yes, Africa, it is time we focus on identifying specific countries that have had chronic problems and how best we solve them, mostly when it comes to these rebel activities and terrorist intentions being manifested. Taking young girls, destroying their future is something we can't just look and say, Nigeria, handle your case, but we must come as brothers and fight this together.
Well, of course, then the big question would be why the big brothers who normally want to poke their noses about every other thing that happens in every other country. But of course, far from that, other stories are also trending, but we will be coming to you also live from our Facebook page. You could catch us on Facebook, you can catch us on Twitter, but also on YouTube. Now, you must also be keen to notice that on YouTube you can actually pause, rewind, forward, and you can watch the show if in case you missed it, even yesterday's show and the other all the days you can just go to UBC GMU, I think GMU or GMU, Good Morning Uganda, then you'll be able to watch us live. Also, same thing on Facebook and on Twitter. Now, we will be also taking a break, but we will leave you with our song for the day. Now, this song for the day is meant to inspire you, lift you up if you're feeling low, but also make you know that there's something much better thereafter where we've been, that there's life even after this so-called COVID. We will be back to our normal drills. As some of the adverts say that definitely. We hope and pray that comes sooner and sooner. Let's take a break. When we come back, me and Robert will be taking you through GMU newsreel.
brought to you by...
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamale drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, in case you've just joined the program, this is Good Morning Uganda, your morning show on UBC TV every weekday from 6:30. So make it a date with us because we give you all the relevant information that you need to know as you go about business. Yes, we know that a number of Ugandans today are not able to go to their workplaces because of the measures put in place to ensure we protect each other from the spread of COVID-19. But we are here for you. We are here to ensure that you miss nothing that is important. We entertain you, spice your morning, yet with relevant information for you. Today in our newsreel, we want to look at the plight of health workers. Yesterday, the Uganda Medical Workers Union had a lot regarding doctors that have succumbed to COVID-19 in an attempt to save a life. and they said this should be priority. Parliament, we saw a section of members of Parliament led by Herbert, Herbert Kinobe, who is the Kibuku County Member of Parliament, saying no, government should prioritize even when a health worker succumbs to COVID-19. They see that as dying on the line of duty and should compensate the family with 100 million shillings. However, some of the workers' MPs are saying, no, let's prioritize ensuring that we protect them. Let them have what they require. Let them have the PPEs, the personal protective equipment, and let's boost their risk allowances and salaries as well. With Felix, this is what we're going to be discussing. Felix, we know that at such a time, health workers really are doing a tremendous job. Uganda, our recovery rates are really high compared to a couple of countries, even the developed world. And we want to credit them, we want to credit government. However, when we push for compensation of health workers in case someone dies to a tune of 100 million, this is being received with mixed feelings. Some are saying no. We've lost over maybe about 300 health workers, that is nurses and doctors all added together. But we cannot prioritize this. Let's prioritize how to prevent them from contracting COVID-19.
Well, first and foremost, Robert, there's this whole notion of essential workers. And the truth of the matter is that there's no essential worker as a medical practitioner in these times. Actually, the truth of the matter is that they are the only qualified people to be called essential workers in times of COVID. These other people, the rest are just what we call in Uganda, nyongeza. They are additions, but the primary essential workers in any sort of pandemic or epidemic. I wouldn't want you to forget what has continuously happened in this country. You could look at the same in regards to, if you remember the Ebola outbreak, we lost a couple of doctors as well, and medical workers.
Dr. Matthew Lukuya and others.
And others, and some nurses. We have, in the same way, lost even others. You can imagine a medical practitioner dying as they give birth. I have heard of a story where a doctor contracted COVID-19 and he could not pay the bills of the hospital where he has been working.
Yes,
I think they charged him of about over 90 million shillings. But he has been treated in a hospital where he has been a doctor. He couldn't pay the costs for his medication.
Now recently there was one being transported from up country
to be brought to Kampala, and she died.
And along the way, oxygen in the ambulance.
She died. So when you talk about, and you see it's a topic you want to, people may discuss in isolation of the truth of the matter. Last week, Monitor published a number of doctors who had succumbed to COVID-19. I think the bulletin had about over 10 doctors. And all these were specialist doctors. Now, between you and me, I would want to know, do you know how long it takes? For example, I saw doctors who had died, who had 30-year experience, from 14, 20, 30. And this, how do we replace this? What I'm trying to build up to is that people may not see the importance of some sectors in this country, and they may look at it lucratively. For example, the suggestion of giving a family 100 million, how does that help Uganda's health sector? I mean, let's be honest. How? In Uganda, we have a saying, "Chiremi muwa mu bulamu n'okimuwera magombe." Magombe, you don't pay debts from the graveyards. You get the point.
Fix for the family owner.
But why do you want to quick fix? Doctors have striked in this country. At some point they strike, then they say they're going to bring Cuban doctors. That is the kind of you're looking at. When we saw these interns striking, and their cases are all valid, by the way. They are all valid. In comparison, for example, the August House in this country has over 500 people. Or honorables, if you want to call them.
529.
Each one of them received over 100 million just to purchase a what?
A car.
How many doctors in this country, let's be honest, receive such privileges? But all of them, when they get sick,
they run to the doctor.
Do you know why sometimes when these people who have money get sick, they fly out? It's not because doctors here can't help them, but the equipment the doctors need, because everything can be done. We have people who are surgeons, we have physicians, you have experts in every other aspect, but because of we don't have the apparatus, we don't have the equipment we need. You remember in times of COVID, the beginning of this, the first lockdown, we had an issue of PPE.
Which is not sorted up to now.
Even up till today, Robert.
And you know what is funny when we talk about PPE is good you've brought it up. The committee of COVID-19, the parliamentary committee led by Honorable Abdul Katuntu, was interfacing with officials from the Ministry of Health and the management of the national medical stores. And Felix, this was my shock. We are having doctors who are contracting COVID-19 or medics or health workers because they lack personal protective equipment. But the head of the national medical stores said, people, we have these in our stores, packed. We have so much, but we don't have transport to get them to the health facilities.
Now let me tell you something funny, if that's what that man said, or woman.
He's a man.
Do you remember how many cars were donated last COVID? How many? Are they over 20 or 30 cars? Where are they? One of the cars I see some person driving there, some cars were spacious cars. You see all over town, they have Ministry of Health numbers, they're all over. Now, the people say we have the PPE, we don't have transportation. Then you'll find the Honorable Kirabo has 3 cars. He has a lead car, a following car, a escorting car, what car, what? Where is the mismatch? And you see, some of these things we talk about them loosely, but they're the definition of a third world country. That is the evidence that Uganda is a third world country.
But also, Felix, even alone being a third world country, I love the word you've used. That some of these things we talk about them like loosely. But this is an equipment that a medical staff needs, and if they lack it, then they're exposing their lives to contracting COVID-19.
I remember last time when people were stuck in the bus park, Honorable Madam Nakalema, Fande Nakalema, went and brought cars, police, military, what? Why don't those cars go and transport PPE? Honestly, if the PPE is there, and the only missing link is transportation, even if we told the Wananchi, the citizens, that we have gloves, we have what, we need them to be in Koboko. Trust me, Kirabo can say, this is my car, the driver is there.
If people don't get 500 plus
let me give million. I think for me, that's so naive a statement from a person at that level. I find it as foolery. When you bring to the aspect of the doctors, Robert, speaking about reality, let's be honest. Parliament should sit down to, this is the time, if they have to borrow, if they have to what, or to sell things, this is the time you must. If a doctor doesn't earn best in times of a pandemic, he will never earn, or she will never earn best. She will never. If the parliament cannot discuss increasing their salaries, their welfare, their allowances at such a now, as a doctor, you if let me give you an example. That's why some people, for example, some of us who do litigation, when you have someone, if they call you on the police and you're going to have a suspect who's under arrest, they're behind the bars, that's the best time to charge. Because they are desperate to get out. But once that person comes out, my brother, they will never pay you. From my experience, once the person is given bond or bail, you'll be the one chasing after. I think, no, sir, I'll call you, I'm busy. So, if doctors cannot be appreciated in the times of pandemic, when do you want to appreciate them? Let's be honest. Your colleagues are dying. It's just like you're in war. Your colleagues are being shot, but you're still advancing. Then you hear gunshots, they say, hey, 7 have died. Hey. Instead of running, you say, okay, to me, doctors, let me tell you, Some doctors have said, perhaps we are not going back to hospital. They are there. They are in their homes. Some of them have changed professions. They are digging. But the few who are still on the front line, you want to wait for them to die, then you give 100 million. What's 100 million, Kirabo, between you and me? What's 100 million? What can 100 million do? The breadwinners died. A person who, I saw most of the ones, like the papers they published in Monta, about 5 or 7 were lecturers. How do you replace such people?
That is gold. That has gone.
See, that's what I'm saying. So, if you want to look at how to, in fact, this discussion cannot come after 2 years into lockdown. At inception of COVID, the first thing we would have thought of, medical. Let us make people love some of these professions. But today, you know, being a doctor, people make it look like it's you know, like someone to be a doctor, man, it's a hard thing.
It's a hard thing, yes.
You go to the school there, these schools of medicine, not like this gentleman who made this COVID-X thing. You can imagine people like that. What if person like that perishes? There's so much more, and these things we can protect.
Felix, we know that maybe, and I want to use the word maybe, because most of the times when medics have come out to demand increment, they're told it will be in a phased manner. Maybe the resource envelope may not be that much.
Which resource
that
envelope?
If we are to pay doctors what maybe they desire to be paid.
Whose resource envelope?
Our budget may not sustain huge amounts, but we've always had the president saying, let's prioritize scientists, and I'm sure doctors are scientists and they fall under that category.
Do you know what the word kudura means in English? I don't know what it means in English.
In English, kudura.
You people who went to Nakasero should have been.
But the problem is we didn't study Uganda at Nakasero.
You would know. You would know.
Neither did we. But not to lose that topic. We're seeing, at least calling upon conditions of working. Some are saying if a doctor contracts COVID-19, let's have a special hospital. They had recommended Bombo and Mbuyamita Hospital. That's where the doctors should be taken.
You know,
others,
Robert, we must have a wholesome approach to this whole thing of healthcare. A wholesome approach. When you wake up and say, if the Nkundas get sick, if the Kirabos get sick, we are prepared for them, I think that's a very, very cheeky way of doing things. Even a street beggar's life, it is important. And it is the duty of government to make sure that person is alive. Even a vendor, you know, we know, even anyone. For example, now you say you want to take doctors to Bombo. You said where? Mbuya and wherever.
In case.
Now.
Because we've found a problem that some of the doctors fall sick and they find it hard to meet the medical bills, and they
But who's not finding it hard?
Everybody.
Even last week,
yes,
we lost a colleague,
yes,
a lawyer, Francis Bugembe. May his soul rest in peace. To COVID-19. People have died in these so-called big hospitals, Tobala Nakubala, countless. The problem is not the kind of hospital. It's the absence of a general medical plan, a national medical plan. Kirabo, people have been talking about beds, oxygen. Even if they take you to Bombo, Ombuya, gateli oxygen.
Chibalama came out praising the military.
Chibalama is good for PR. How many people and I saw the story yesterday when the army was visiting him at his home. What is that? That is for their own PR. That's for their own PR.
And also believe
but
that
do you want to tell me Bombo has not lost people to COVID? I can give you a case I know personally. I can. Have you tell me Mbuya has not lost people to COVID? The solution is not picking.
Because
corruption
is not so much in
this country.
Kind of facilities for
every person who dies, we hurt.
Yes.
We have lost. With a doctor, with a peasant, with a vendor. And because there is a mother who cries for a child, there are children who cry for a mother or a father. In the face of for you to do who sees them like that. Let us get into the hard discussion of a country-wide aspect of health. Let us discuss health at a national level. Let us put in place standards. We talk about this. What is a referral hospital? Why don't they say let us why did they skip Mulago? What's wrong with Mulago?
It's overwhelmed with a lot of people.
Why
so
is it overwhelmed? Why is it overwhelmed? That's what we're asking. Then let us deal with the problem. The problem is that means space, equipment, and it may be the manpower or human resource. That is the problem. The problem is not the peeking into. Let us deal with the aspect. If you have money, because clearly the Parliament knows where the money is. If it's suggesting all these things, if it knows where the money is,
unfortunately, Parliament may not know where the money
is.
But,
so you can't start suggesting
about
without.
The same committee, Felix, where members of Parliament were asking that the 10th Parliament approved about 18.5 billion, that is to purchase COVID-19 vaccine. And it was funny if you followed the interface with the health committee. Matia Kasaija says, they ask him, well, did you approve this money? I have to cross-check. National medical stores, yes, we are supposed to purchase. So there is so much that I think we have to...
You know, let me just say this, Robert. COVID has exposed so many things, and in terms of governance, but also in terms of what kind of a country we are. COVID has exposed all aspects of this country in terms of religion, in terms of, you look at politics, social, just to mention but a few. It is sad that we have learned that some people, come what may, they will stay hyenas. And that's without giving mention to names or whatever. I would want to focus, if members of Parliament came out to interest themselves in this discussion of healthcare, it is a good thing. But it is not good enough for them to discuss these issues faintly. Babisa Kunguru in Uganda will say, like just looking at prima facie, the face of things. If someone dies, we give 100 million, let's take the doctors to Bobo. How about the vendor? We know who's not a doctor. Don't they have a right to life?
We are having a robust health system that will cater for them.
How about a taxi driver?
Hospitals.
Robust, which robust? What is your regional hospital you in what?
For me, I go to Chirudu. That would be my...
Can you go to Chirudu really for treatment now?
Ministry of Health, they are working on ensuring they have 4,600 beds locally manufactured here that are going to be distributed. That is 54 ICU beds are going to be also availed, and 20 will go to Mulago and 34 will go to regional hospitals where I expect those ICU beds where I expect my to do also.
Lastly, let me say this. I wish I wanted to say it in Luganda in terms of Lugero, but let me just bring it in English. That as a country we must stop, and majorly for our leaders. I feel that our leaders are taking us for a ride, and they have been doing this for a long time. They sometimes make us look fools. These people in leadership and in all levels, ministers, what, they make us look fools. How can we have scarcity of beds? Serious.
Because we didn't saw this coming, so we didn't have. We are just adjusting.
It takes. Let me tell you. Go to Katwe. Me, I have a personal welder. I call him Rogers. Njagala ebitanda kyenda mu bitano batukumi. Naga kale. Okay. Lero wakumeka Tuesday, Saturday. Get 3 what?
We are going to be getting them locally. We've been importing, so now we are getting them locally.
Yeah, but we imported
beds, and each was about that is 890,000 each bed. Now we have decided to manufacture them from here because we've given local contractors, and soon we expect these beds to be in our health facilities.
Anyway, for all the countrymen there,
we are cutting budgets to get 600 billion
when these stories
go into COVID-19.
Okay, that's a good thing. When these things or stories come as we discuss them, this should inform you, our viewers, more why you should probably avoid yourself from catching COVID-19.
Very true.
These things we talk about, you who have ears and eyes to see what's going on, you're better off preventing yourself from getting COVID-19. Because away from the hullabaloo of people, in terms of even parliament, you go to the ministries, you can imagine a minister who's not sure if they released money. And Kasaija, and the Honorable Kasaija has done this a couple of times. Every time he appears, I don't know why, but that's for him.
He wants to be factual and give information that
is factual.
That is factual if he's not aware of something.
So, for all our viewers out there, stay safe. Make sure you avoid yourself from contracting COVID-19. But for all the medical workers out there, thank you so much for everything you're doing for this country. We do appreciate, but we know as a matter of fact, your calling is professional. But we pray for you. For those who have lost their lives, we do pray with the families and bless them that for the hard work they did and the good things and the lives they saved. But we do believe and trust that it is only God who can reward you. Nothing much we can do for you as a country.
Well, Felix was said, for me, I want to call upon government. It is time to hold people accountable. What really came out of this health committee led by Honorable Abdul Katuntu, where we saw people giving information and they just go home and rest? How come you have the money and you did not purchase the vaccines? That it seems there is a war between the ministry and national medical stores on who should purchase, who should have this money. How dare can this happen? PPEs in stores, how do we get them to medical workers? Like this, we need seriousness, we need people to be held accountable, because this is a matter of life and death. And for the medics, thumbs up. We respect, we celebrate you, the gallant sons and daughters of this nation who have put their lives at the front line despite a few challenges to ensure you save lives. When we return, we'll be looking at what is trending in the print media. Stay with us.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, every morning we make sure, despite the fact that you cannot get a newspaper very fast, we give you what is trending in the print media. So the reason why you should stay with us is because we are a very informative show for you to kickstart your day even when you're home and you're waking up to sleep. Looking at the New Vision this morning, finance delays, that is a civil servants pension scheme. It wasn't meant to begin. It was meant to begin this financial year. They give you details, and then government rushes to buy more hospital beds. That I've been telling Felix, these are locally manufactured beds, and giving business to Ugandan companies to do that. Katumba, bodies of suspects unclaimed. Now no one is coming to claim the suspects here that were put out of action as they were being arrested by security agencies regarding the attempted assassination on the life of General Katumba Amala. How COVID-X innovator survived COVID-19. How did this professor survive COVID-19? Then Pope Francis hospitalized. Not very good news here. And labor exporters to refund money. That is, the government has directed suspended labor firms to refund money they had collected from, that is, prospective workers, and also hand over their travel documents and national identity cards. Still more, the New Vision gives you that is, activists sues government over hospital bill. Okay, activists, a group of them, are suing the government over exorbitant hospital bills that COVID-19 patients are being charged. These and more, but let's look at what the Daily Monitor has.
Now, of course, in the Daily Monitor, long wait for COVID cash sparks protests, and the tribute we see fallen Agri Awori, his life from 1939 to 2021, now a man of many hats, but also beating COVID, non-stop coughing made me breathless, but the concoction helped. Prosper inside government's race to fight poverty, but also Minister of Health, Minister of Works comes out to say that renewed travel permits now, says workers. Now, how parties used social media for polls, and of course for a couple of tenders inside the paper as well. Now, in other news, Uganda to buy 2 million COVID jabs from US farm, and also Fiona Nabasa, the president of the Law Society, has been dragged to court. Well, of course, from the archives here, a taxi driver maneuvers tough waters there near Clock Tower. Still the same challenge as this was as early as 1999, which is a problem still faced even lately. Now, today in history, Mwanga escapes from Buganda to join Kabalega, and civil war breaks out in Nigeria. They also give you an exclusive about the life of the late Agri Awori.
In the New Vision, still we look at a question there, that is facts or myth regarding COVID-19. Is AstraZeneca vaccine safe? Well, they give you answers, and we'll be discussing this still in our GMU agenda with Dr. Alfred Ruware, that is the commissioner in charge of vaccines and immunization in the Ministry of Health. We look at statistics, how they're standing today regarding COVID-19. New confirmed cases, 480. We look at new death, 27. Total death registered so far, 1,966. So we are moving in the right direction. If you continue perfecting the soaps, we will flatten the curve. When we look at the death, 27. Yes, we are moving. Let's continue working together and fight this. Then symptoms of COVID-19 are fever, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat, headache. If you have these, seek medical attention. Still today in history, it was on this date, July 6th, the year 2007, when government launched the Chogam campaign, and also the same date, the year 1942, when Anne Frank's family goes into hiding. Who is Anne Frank? That and her family take refuge in a secret seal-off area of Amsterdam warehouse to escape from being sent to the Nazi concentration camp.
Now in sports, the Daily Monitor, a strict SOPs punctuate Africa's Cup there, but also coach Galanka Polos, unbeaten in silverback, prepares for Morocco and European Championship there. Now, of course, as Spain leader Enrique out to settle old sore with Italy, and also title-hungry upstart Sun Bucks meeting the NBA Finals. But Musagala suffers sprain, but unhappy with his progress also. And Japan offers reprieve after Uganda coach tests positive again. Wow, that's quite sad. And of course, here we see a photo of Enrique, who will want to bury the pain from 1994, where he was a player, and they had a face-off with Italy. That was quite memorable.
In the New Vision Sport, we look at same old story. What old story? Well, that is the incompetent training track at Tayet, and still we see the newly paved access road to the National High Altitude Center. What is the success there? How far have we gone as a country to ensure this facility is up and running? Then counting on you, that is the Afro Basket Qualifiers Group E, where they give you more. And business end of Cooper. They give you more regarding sports. But don't forget, our very own Ruben will be here to give you all the updates and the interesting stories in the world of sports. So don't miss the time for the sports lovers, where we update you with what is happening in that particular field. Looking at the Daily Nation.
On the Daily Nation, we're looking at the new tax measures were introduced to fund the 3.6 trillion budget for 2021-2022. That's for Kenya. But tough times as cost of meals shoot up there in Kenya. They give you the breakdown of what actually a meal costs. Now, supremacy was derail Uhuru's tout for Okambwa, and of course, they're still looking at retiring governors failed to endorse deputies in succession race. Basically, that's what is in the Daily Nation now. You get a copy of the Daily Nation, copy of the Daily Monitor, New Vision, and other bulletins for you to find out that and more stories.
Very interesting stories happening that is in the East African. When you talk about costs of food, we have a reason to celebrate as a country, because Uganda, even at this trying moment, we find that there is relatively enough food. The costs that the farmers could suffer, yes, because due to challenges in transportation, matoke has highly reduced. When you look at a tray of eggs, now you can get as low as 7,500 a tray of eggs that has shoot up to about 10,000, 12,000 plus. So there is so much. It's only the farmer that may not get so much out of that, mostly when it comes to the middlemen. But otherwise, that is moving on. For us, food, we don't see that as a challenge. And of course, aid is along the way. We were told by the Prime Minister for the vulnerable at such a time that Wednesday or Thursday, wait urgently. You may get that message on your mobile money. Registration is going on, verification is going on, and we believe people will be able to get that money no sooner than later.
Take a break, and when we come back, we'll be taking you through traffic updates, and of course later on the weather, and later on Robert will be taking us through the GMU agenda. Good morning. Stay with us on UBC.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Airtel Uganda has the best and most affordable rates when it comes to withdrawing and sending money. Withdraw money for as low as 330 shillings up to a maximum of 12,500 shillings. Sending money is just as affordable as ever. Absolutely unbeatable. Use Airtel Money on the most affordable network with the largest network of Airtel Money branches in Uganda. Dial *185# to get started. Airtel Money, simple, secure, borderless.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning once again, and thank you for staying with us here on UBC. Now, remember that we will give you a couple of traffic tips for some of you who have your cars being parked, and your cars have been parked for quite a time, but it's unfortunate the traffic lady is not here today. I guess she had some challenges this morning, but she will be with us tomorrow to give you the tips on how you get to town. But me, I will be here to just tip you on how do you keep your car still functional even when it's been parked for a month. Now, one of the tips is that if you know you're going to park your car for a long time, remove the battery. Remove, in Uganda we call them ebikondo, those what we call toes of the battery, so that the battery is not drained by the other functionalities. Remember, when you turn off the car, some of the systems are not actually turned off. So you remove the battery and you can put it out of the car if you want. It's also good for security purposes. But if you don't choose to go that way, if you know you can choose to start the car at least once every 2 days. Let it run for about 5 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on the fuel capacity or usage. But that must be done at least once every 2 days. Do not start your car and rest it. I've seen people do that. You start the car, then you rest it, and then you switch it off. That is not good. The purpose for starting the car and let it run for about 5 to 20 minutes is that you let the oil circulate, and the car also, the engine, because you remember that the engine is run by oil. Now that oil can also get into solid form if it's not tampered with for quite a time. So every time the car is ignited and it's running, the oil moves throughout the car and the engine parts and all these kind of things. So the other tip is that, again, keep the car clean. Every time the car has concentration of dust, some parts of the car will not work normally. For example, like the windscreen, for example. Even the color of the car. For some of you who have white cars, you will end up having a car that is actually brownish, yellowish. So as you have your car parked at home, make sure or endeavor to remember to carry out some of these drills. But of course, that and more, the traffic lady will be here to give you those updates on how you get yourself town. Today, you don't have to come to town because there's not much you're doing. The roadblocks have been intensified. That's a matter of fact. I saw that with my eyes this morning. People are being arrested time and again, and now that the charges are out, Robert was reading you the story where they have been already put out a statutory instrument for people and what they will be charged. Please avoid being on the road if you actually don't have to be on the road. If you don't have the evidence that you have to be on the road, please do not be on the road. It's important. We're also eager to have the updates in weather. For some of you who are out there, at least that's quite important. You'll know where it's going to be raining, where it's going to be snowing. They told us it snows somewhere next to Mount Elgon. That's the truth. I went to hear from Mollen, and of course to tell us more about what's happening in Canada. Good morning, Mollen. How are you?
Yes, very good morning to you, Felix. It is a good morning indeed across the country. Most areas are dealing with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions.
So Mollen, just a quick one before I run away and let you do this weather thing. Is it true we have snow in Uganda?
What we have is snow on top of a mountain, and I think you've heard of something that says, saying that says, the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. So that coldness on top of Mount Rwenzori creates the snowy conditions over there.
Wow. So we don't have to go to America for snow now. All Ugandans know that you can just go to Mount Elgon to have a snow look or something. But anyway, I'll leave you, Molen, to take us through the weather and much to do with nature. Thank you also for watching us, our viewers. We'll be coming back with GMU agenda. Molen, please.
Yes, very good morning to you all, our viewers. We want to go through our weather today, what's happening in our skies, and also more to what is happening around the world in terms of weather and nature. We are still monitoring the heat wave situation across Western Canada as well as northwestern USA. Still a lot of cities hitting larger numbers in terms of record-breaking temperatures. And the worst has been across Western Canada. That is Layton village, where we've seen wildfires also break through and destroying a lot of lives and property, and that is really going to take a stroll on the livelihood of the people there. Now, there are still more alerts into what is likely to happen for most areas. That includes still northwestern parts of the USA, where the heat wave is still expected to be giving effects, because also we are seeing temperatures rise across that area. Now, there is also an alert still for tropical storm Elsa that hit Cuba yesterday, and that was also bringing in devastating effects across that area with heavy rains. And so far, the report I was reading this morning is showing that now the tropical storm is moving back onto the water, but still bringing in effects of strong winds and heavy showers across Cuba. And also that is likely to also hit Florida, where already evacuations have been done. Now, there's also a raging story about the landslides in Japan, and those are also devastating the area that is being affected, destroying property. And of course, that has also been associated with flooding and heavy rains over there. Now, coming back home here, across East Africa as a region, yesterday, IGAD did launch a network or a website, online website that will be giving us regional hazard watch. Now, this is called the Hazard Watch across East Africa, and that will be giving us mostly what we expect in terms of extreme weather. And one of the products we already have today shows the extremes in rainfall across the region. That is from 60th up to 13th of July. Now, this is looking at what is likely to be out of the ordinary in terms of rainfall. As you can see, Uganda, well, from that map, you can see where Uganda is actually mostly in white. Now, that goes to indicate that we are not expecting exceptional rains across the country. All the rains that are expected are within the normal range now, except for parts of Kenya, a little bit to western and central Kenya, where they are expected to have more rainfall compared to the normal range. But Tanzania, Uganda, we are expecting to have normal rainfall within the normal range. Also looking at what we have in terms of the rainfall expected across the country. Now, where you see the green is where we're expecting more rains compared to the rest of the country. And from Uganda, you can from the map, you'll see where there is that green color and also the orange. So the green is across the Karamoja region. That is where we're expecting to have more rainfall, and also Mount Elgon Highlands, where you see the green that is across Mbale, Bududa, Bodaka. That area is also likely to have more rainfall compared to the rest of the country. Now, that actually goes across the eastern stretch. that area will be receiving more rainfall. And also looking at the West Nile, the northwestern parts of Uganda, where we have a little bit of green, yellow to orange, that is also where we're likely to have more rainfall compared to the rest of the country. Now, most areas are really within the gray line, where we are expecting to have less rains, less to no rainfall. Now, we also have that orange color across central Uganda and also southwestern. We do expect rains, but compared to the green and yellow colors, those will be really less. And Lake Victoria Basin, can see we are having that gray color where we're likely to have very less rains. But like I mentioned in the past a few segments, with Lake Victoria, we do still get the effect of the lake enhancing wet weather conditions across that region. So that helps with most of the rainy conditions that we have here across Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono, Masaka, Tororo, all those areas that are surrounding Lake Victoria. But much of the country is generally expected to have less rains across most areas, except for the Karamoja region and the eastern stretch, where we have mostly Mount Elgon Highlands, where we are expecting to have more rainfall across the country. Now, I was looking at the satellite over Uganda today on what is happening. Most areas are actually dealing with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, and we are already seeing clouds starting to develop, especially across northeastern and also for northern Uganda. Those areas are already seeing that cloud coming through, but most places are actually having a very bright day coming through with mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. We did have that rainy system that started the day today coming from Lake Victoria, but that was only over a few places, and that only brought us rains, especially towards the western parts of Lake Victoria. But as the morning clears through, we are going to see mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions coming through, and most areas, especially for central, we'll be seeing that cloud, but also mixed with sunny conditions. We'll go ahead and take a look at our forecast for today, where most areas are likely to have intervals of sunny and Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Tororo, Bujiri, light winds. Moving on, still across the Lake Victoria Basin, that is for the central part, where we have Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso, Mpigi, Buyukwe in that category. We are expecting to have those isolated showers, meaning that up to 20% of the forecast area will be seeing these rains. So that will be over a few areas, and temperatures are quite chilly at 25 degrees centigrade with very light winds. Now, Western Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Rakai, Rengo, Masaka, Zimbabwe in that category, we are forecasting still a mix of clouds and sunshine, and temperatures will be going up to 26 degrees centigrade. Now, western parts of central, where we have Gomba, Mitiana, Mubende, Chiboga, we're forecasting isolated light showers. Now, those will be over a few places, and quite a warm morning over there at 27 degrees centigrade. Eastern parts of central, where we have Ruwero, Nakaseke, Nakasongola, we are forecasting sunny intervals still at a warm 27 degrees centigrade. Now, those will be clearing later in the afternoon. We do expect to see more rainfall coming through, especially for eastern parts of central, that is across Ruwero, Nakasongola. Moving on, for southwestern Uganda, that is Marara, Bushenyi, Ririzi, Isinjiro, Shema, Bohweju. We are expecting to have a mix of clouds and sunshine with quite a pleasant morning at 26 degrees centigrade. That kind of feels like a normal morning over there with very light winds. Now, West Nile, where we have Nebi, Zombo, Arua, and Koboko, we are forecasting light showers. Now, like I said, that cloud is already developing over that region. We do expect more light rains to come through as the morning goes by. and temperatures will be at a warm 27 degrees centigrade, likely to hit 29 later in the afternoon. Central North, where we have Gulu, Padel, Kitgum, we are likely to have intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, still at a warm 27, but also that area should look out for more rainy conditions coming in, especially during the afternoon with very light winds. Now, northern Kyoga, where we have Lira, we have Dokoro, Apache, and Molata, we are going to have a mix of clouds and sunshine. Already a sunny morning over there, but that cloud will be coming through at a warm 27 degrees and really light winds over that region. Now, central Lake Victoria Basin, we are already seeing that cloudy condition coming through, and also mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions even here in Kampala, but we do expect to have more light rains across most areas within the forecast region. Now, Eastern Kyoga, that is where we have Soroti, Katakwi, Kumi, we are expecting to have a mix of clouds and sunshine, and those will be across most places at a warm 27 degrees with very light winds. Now, northeastern Uganda, is where we have the Karamoja region, Kotido, Napak. We are forecasting intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions with a warm 27 degrees centigrade with very light winds. Now, Mount Elgon Highlands, where we have Mbale, Bududa, we have Kapchora in that category. We are having mostly cloudy conditions for now, but we do expect that sun to also come through, giving us sunny intervals the entire morning at 26 degrees with very light winds. Quite pleasant weather over there. Now, Eastern Lowlands, where we have Palisa, Budaka, Butaleja, Kaliro, we are forecasting also a beautiful mix of clouds and sunshine at a warm 27 with very light winds. Seems like it is really going to be a quite pleasant morning across that area. Now, Midwestern Uganda, where we have Hoima, we have Masindi, we have Ulisa in that category, Chiandongo. We're still forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, and temperatures will be at 27 degrees centigrade. Now, northern Rwenzori also expected to have a mix of clouds and sunshine with quite a chilly morning. That is where we have 25 degrees centigrade, but this area is expected to have more rainfall developing in the afternoon. Do look out for those, even if we do have that forecast for sunny intervals for now, for the morning, but later in the afternoon, we expect more rains to develop. Even for southern Rwenzori, that is where we have Kasese, we do expect those rains in the afternoon, but for now, in the morning, we are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures already high at 28 degrees centigrade. That really feels like a warm morning for Kasese and Wera. Now, Chigezi Highlands, where we have Kabale, Kisoro, Lukunjiri, and Kanungu, we're still forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine at a very cold 23 degrees across the area, but with very light winds over there. Now, most areas seems like are going to start off with a clear morning with intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions, although we are likely to have more rains develop in the afternoon, but that will be mostly across the eastern stretch as well as much of western Uganda, more to midwestern where we have Masindi, and also parts of central. We're talking about eastern parts of central where Nakasongola. Do look out for that in the afternoon, possibility of having light rains here and there, but much of the country will be maintaining intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Now, we do have a Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up, and Robert will be taking you through that. We also have sports with Ruben. We'll be taking you into the world of sports as we look at the Euros this season. That is something that is exciting for everyone across the world. Now, Ruben will be taking you through more of that, and also Good Morning Uganda Extra with the Jagenda Semakula. For now, I'll leave you back to the studio. My name is Modern Kenyana. Have a good morning.